Let me tell you something. I got all I could from the military. I did. I got everything that I could from the military in terms of education. Somebody that's thinking about going to the military, like, let me tell you something. When I left out of the military after 25 years of service, I had 3 degrees and I had a cosmetology license. Now, let me tell you how that happened in terms of the education. Now, when I first came in, the military paid 80% of our tuition. Class basically was $1,000 or something like that, or $900, something like that back then. This was in the 90s. And they would pay 80% of that. So by the time we got done, we would pay less than $100 for a class. And then we also had to pay for the book. That was about it. So in the 90s, they had this thing called the college option. And what it was is that it was a reenlistment bonus that allowed you to, when you reenlisted, you can go to college for 6 months full time. Here's the thing. You could always go to class or go to college while you was in the Army as long as there was only a percentage, because there was a percentage of people who can go to college at any time in the unit. So as long as the unit wasn't maxed out on that percentage, because again, this was in the 90s, then you could go to college. And so you could always take evening classes and weekend classes at any given time. So that was, at any time. However, with they gave you 6 months to go to school full time, right? Between that days that you weren't in school, you had to be at work. So me being who I am, okay, I decided that I was going to go to beauty school, okay, because the way I saw it was I was already taking classes for my associate's degree in the evening time. And so I was like, well, I can go to beauty school, which was also accredited through the university, which at the time was Central Texas College. I can go to beauty school full time and go ahead and do that. So beauty school was 5 days a week from 8 to 5, baby. So that means that I didn't have to go to class to work in between classes, okay? I went to beauty school for 6 months. That was kind of broken up because I ended up going to a military school in between that. And then I ended up re-enlisting for the college option again, because if you had under 10 years of the Army at the time, then you can get it again. And so beauty school was a 9-month program, because every 3 months you got 500 credit hours and you needed 1,500 credit hours to be able to get your license. And so for me, when I re-enlisted for the college option a second time, and that allowed me to go back to beauty school and finish up my remaining hours. And that's how I got my cosmetology license. Around that same time, I finished up my associate's degree. So keep in mind, I paid for my cosmetology license out of my pocket, right? And back then it was only like $5,000 to go to cosmetology school. The Army didn't pay for it, but they allocated me the time to go, and I was still getting my full pay while I was sitting up in beauty school. I'm just saying. In terms of my bachelor's degree, by that time, the Army was no longer paying 80%. They were paying the full tuition. However, I had re-enlisted for what they call when you get the computer, and I ended up doing online courses. And so that's how I ended up completing my bachelor's, was because I did it online. And so it never interfered with anything in terms of work or anything like that. And the Army paid for that because I got the computer. And so that was part of the program with the computer, is that they paid for my bachelor's degree. Then for my master's degree, of course, the Army paid up to, 36 hours for my master's degree. And then everything after that, I had to pay myself, because my master's degree, which was, 60 hours. And so I just had to pay the difference of my master's degree. But other than that, that's how I got all my education while I'm in Army. Come back for some other benefits of being a military. Okay? Bye.